Welcome to Live the Return TV. I took my first trade in 1998. I retired for trading in 2020, and in 2026, I returned. But I didn't come back as a trader. I came back as a scientist entering the laboratory because I'm fascinated by one question. How do people align their actions with their intentions when it matters most? Not when it's easy, not when they're motivated, not when everything is going their way, but when pressure shows up and their nervous system wants to do something completely different. The return is the framework, the markets are the demonstration, and every day I step into one of the most uncertain environments of the world and attempt to align my actions with my intentions in real time. Sometimes I succeed, sometimes, well, I don't. But every session gives us another opportunity to study what happens when human beings meet pressure. So whether you're here to learn trading, understand performance, or simply watch the experiment unfold, welcome to the laboratory. Welcome, 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 everybody. All right, so this morning, right? If you are not on a platform that you can do a wide screen and see the full screen on your screen, come on over to one of the other apps, Purple app, Tube, whatever it might be, and come on over and check them out because I've got a trading plan that I had set up for this morning and you're able to see it at the live edge. What we did was we were trading in value. And I noticed this area of value all the way back here because this is where I create my areas of value. I don't use lows. I don't use highs. I use areas that are breakouts or potential breakouts to the market. Why? Because it's consistent. I don't have to worry about, is this a high or a low? Is this a key point? There's no questions. It's consistent and it's easy to do. Just like right here, we have a new current developing profile that we can actually draw, if I can find it, there it is, on this chart right here. Okay. Now we have a new developing volume or value area on the 30-minute perspective, longer time frame. And why is this important? Because what price action did today, it was very difficult trading this morning because of the volatility. And luckily, the volatility did smooth out during the session. Okay. And I ended up trading in my live account and down $377 today. What I did, though, in retrospect, was pretty dumb. Not to talk down to myself or anything else, I got triggered this morning and I was not on the court when I took short positions. Why? We're in unfair lows. A breakout is not a trend, and I traded as if we were in a trend, assuming and anticipating a trend that hadn't established itself yet. Complete no-no in trading value. If you're trading value and you have a balanced market condition, trade your balanced market condition. But every day that I go through one of these little hiccups and issues in my own trading, what I'm finding is I'm getting better and more skilled at what it is that I am doing. It's not pulling me out of the game. It's actually making me better equipped to do what it is that I know I can do and what I'm good at doing. Now, we did have a breakout here. The breakout consisted of we're trying to break out of initial balance low, and then we come back and we pull back. And in that pullback, coming up through, we end up closing below. These are all just range extensions. Okay, shouldn't be too concerned about those. Just range extensions. Then we get a close. Now we have a possible trend. But what's interesting though is look at what happened in the context of this overall market direction. Came down, we closed, and pulled back right to the higher volume where the buyers were. Anticipating a short, anticipating a continuation, pull back directly to that area, buyers come in at the high, and look, that's exactly where you want to be entering, is when price is unable to break the highs, lower buy volume near the high, buyers are now rejecting, sellers are getting stronger in here, and price action gets below where the buyers are in the previous bar. That's where you can enter a position with very tight risk, very minimal risk, and look for a continuation play to the downside. Here we pulled back, and in the pullback, we didn't even get up into the area. Buyers rejected first, and we continue to sell off, and we continue to do so until now we're in this nice little range. Now, here's the thing. When we're in value on a longer time frame chart, we can be trending on a short time frame chart. And so even though we're in value or in developing value, we can always look for trend trades in the low and the shorter time frame. This is why this is important. I spent most of my career as an auction market theory, follower, lifelong learner, if you will, because we're always learning something when it comes to this. What we end up doing is trying to trade rejection and rejection patterns out of these areas and unfair highs, unfair lows, okay? But what we have to remember is if we can't pick up the rejection like we couldn't this morning because of the volatility, it doesn't mean we can't participate in the auction process. And why can we still participate in the auction process, or how can we? Because we can trade the trend of the short-term trade, the short-term direction, okay? Or the short-term trend. Why am I going short here? The reason why I'm going short here is because we are currently in a downtrend in a long time frame perspective, okay? We broke through value. Price action came down and traded hard and closed out its low. So we're either in a breakout condition or we're in a starting point of a downtrend on the long time frame. But we don't know which one yet. So we can go to the short time frame. What is the short time frame telling us? Market came down, started to trend, and it came into an area of balance, rotation. So what am I doing? I'm just trying to go short off of areas that make sense, utilizing auction market theory through order flow and the fact that we haven't made a higher high yet. So we're still in a downtrend. So I'm just scalping short positions moving into direction of possible trend on a long time frame chart. Now, the long time frame chart, is it a trend? No, it's a breakout. How do we know if it's going to continue to be a breakout or a false breakout? Well, if it's a false breakout, we're going to start seeing higher highs in the short time frame chart. And then we're going to need to change our mentality of bias from the short side to either rotational or possibly even long. But until that shift happens, we can only trade what we see in the charts. And that is a breakout to the downside on a long time frame and a trend in the short time frame chart with consolidation or area of balance, what people would say range, chop, they want to stay out of. But why not trade it as you would regular balance? You know where your unfair highs are, you know where your unfair lows are, you know where your areas of support are in this market, you know where your areas of resistance are in the market. Why not trade back into direction of possible breakout trend on the long time frame chart in the context of your unfair highs? There's really no reason to go long because now we're fading what the long-term chart is actually confirming. But what happens if we start breaking higher highs? Well, now we can start buying the unfair lows because now the trend is broken and we're trading in a range. And now we're just trading in a range and scalping until momentum happens, gives us a breakout that we're either in or we're not. That turns into a short-term trend on a short-term chart, and then we can start trading a trend on the short-term chart and the continuation of possible movement back into previous value. Any questions on that? I know that was a lot of information I just threw at everybody really quickly there, but I really want to make sure that everybody understands that concept because that concept is extremely important to auction market theory. Yeah, we're looking for reversals when we're in unfair highs and unfair lows, but if we don't catch those reversals or it doesn't happen, we can always trade the trend on the short-term chart that will develop as long as the range of value is wide enough on the long time frame. And today the value area was over 100 points. Kashif, technical pips, beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing the information. I should probably hop on board because it sounds like you guys have a heck of a lot better system than I do at 99% accuracy. I mean, just wow, I'm blown away right now. Well done. Thank you, everybody, and thank you for sharing. Any questions, any comments, any concerns when it comes to auction market theory and how we're trading around these areas? And yeah, I'm still down for the day. You know, I had 3 trades, 1 break even, 1 expense, and 1 revenue. My expense was down about 900, a little bit more than 900, right around 1,000, and I brought it down to 348. So the drawdown is nominal. I'm talking right now, so I'm not paying attention to the charts as much as I should, and I was being a smart aleck, so it's kind of, you know, karma that it happened in the first place. But that's what we should be looking for, is the short side. And what's happening right now, the market is moving into the short direction. Is it a trend? No. Should we be scalping these positions? Absolutely. Tight on our stops? Most definitely. Why? Because it's all about money management and bleeding risk out of the position, because the only thing that we own when we're moving into trading is risk. We don't own a contract. We don't own a stock because these are futures markets. They're derivatives of actual shares, right? So we don't have ownership of anything other than risk. And you should be bleeding risk out of your positions as quickly as possible. Again, any questions, comments, or concerns? Yes, I was triggered again this morning. I got myself out of court, put myself back into the bleachers, realized I was there, and got myself back on the court again. So let's go. And now I'm just hunting for possible positions. I'm a little low in my range right now. I really don't feel like taking another short because we can reject someplace off of these lows in here, because we're not fully cycling in balance right now. What do I mean by cycling in balance? Highs, testing lows, highs, lower low, highs, and now are we going to hit the lower lows or not? I've already taken a shot on this. We didn't have the momentum in there yet. I would much prefer to see a pullback back here into this area. It would be lovely to see a pullback into this area, and then a short continuation to the downside. Any questions, comments, concerns? Did I just confuse the bejesus out of everybody, or is there some understanding of what I said there? EA Goldman, welcome. Thank you for stopping by. Appreciate you. What do we have here? We've got some buyers stepping into the market. Now we've got a form of higher highs, moving directly into our areas of support here. Not coming back down, though. They're not acting as resistance at the moment. They're acting as support. So we don't want to just go short. We want to wait and see what happens. What's happening in order flow right now? In order flow, we have buyers catching here. We haven't broke a high yet. And look at the sellers. Where are we at in the sellers? So the sellers are actually a little bit stronger than before as well. Buyers aren't stepping aside. Sellers aren't stepping aside. Price action makes higher highs. The analysis keeps us out of positions. Why didn't I go back short? I didn't like the rejection down here. And price action is not trending on a long time frame chart. Price action is actually a breakout of prior range that could move back into prior range. So what am I looking for now? Now we have this little breakout here. We have price that came up to this point here, which is, I don't know, 500. And where are we at on 500 over here? We're coming into this area, which is the first really strong buyers that came in after breaking this first area of consolidation after the breakout happened in the first place. So what could this be? Possible false breakout? It could be a continuation to the up move. We don't know yet. And because this bar is so bullish here, I don't want to try to short off of this bar, so I'm anticipating it could possibly move higher. But we are in an overall trending condition on the short time frame chart. So I want to give this area a little bit of development before I try to get into the market. I don't need to call highs. I don't need to call lows. All I need to do is just be able to determine what kind of condition the market is in right now. And the market is in a breakout right now to the upside from a short-term trending condition that created a breakout on the long time frame chart that could be rotating back into prior value or developing new value and possible trend continuation to the downside in the direction of the breakout. A lot of words there, but there you go. Do I think the market's going to go up? Overall, right? And overall, we are in a trending condition higher on the daily perspective and the weekly perspective, okay? So overall, we have not broken value or trend on the daily perspective or the weekly perspective. So we're still in a long-term trending higher market condition, okay? Imbalance to the upside on the longer time frame charts. You start going down at the time frames, 240, 30 minutes, some other charts along those lines. Now you start seeing a possible trend developing to the downside. We do not know yet if the market is going to reject off of areas where the daily and on the weekly could flip yet. We're not there. And to tell you what the market could do in the future, I can't even tell you what the next tick is going to be. I can't tell you if the next tick is going to be up or down. I have absolutely no idea. And if I don't know the next tick after that, or the next tick after that, I can't forecast into the future. What I can say is we are imbalanced higher and higher time frame charts. We're imbalanced lower and lower time frame charts, and the market right now is trying to find value. And each time we come into lows, we are rejecting those lows and moving back into higher areas of balance. Let me show you. If you can move over to an app where you can see the large screen. Oh, Syed, thank you so much for recouping my losses. I so appreciate you in that offer, man. That's just absolutely kind and wonderful of you. You are the best, kind sir. Goodness gracious, if you can do it yourself, get over here and do what I'm doing and do it live and put yourself out there and then see what happens. Goodness gracious. People, some people's kids, I'm telling you. What I'm trying to do right now is squinch this chart up, and it's not behaving for me very well. There we go. So as you can see, right, we're in a trend. We're in a trend higher. And then we developed into this pullback here. And each time we come into these areas of unfair lows, we're rejecting and moving back higher. Now, we haven't gotten back up to here after this pullback, but we're currently in a pullback. Does that mean that price action cannot continue to move lower? No. But what we're seeing is rejection at the lows, and buyers are responding. And buyers are responding on higher time frames, not retail traders. These are institutional. But let's look at the big picture and what's going on. We still have a possible AI bubble. Okay, but the AI bubble doesn't mean it's going to burst or it's going to burst now, okay? Because we just still don't know what AI is going to develop into, all right? So we do have a possible .com bubble now like we did in the early 2000s, but what's the difference? .com was really about the internet stocks. Well, what happens with the internet stocks? You're going to lose growth over time, and those stocks are going to come back to normal. But we don't know what's going to happen to AI yet. We don't know if it's going to lose that, right? Because of that, we're in an expansion of technology. And when you're in an expansion of technology, an economic sense, it can move the possibility frontier curve forward. And if it does, you're going to see economic expansion and continued growth. If it doesn't, it will contract like it did with the .com, and now you see a downturn to the market, okay? So in a technical sense, everything right now is still showing to the bullish side. But short term, we are seeing a reversal, which makes perfect sense because we've been in an absolute tear for months now. and we should see a pullback. So I'm seeing a healthy market condition at the moment, is what I'm seeing. That doesn't mean it can't go back down, and this is not investment advice. But I hope that answered your question. If you want me to go into it a little bit more detail on Brightside, let me know, and I'll go into a little bit more detail with you on that. I apologize if um, that was a little wordy, but it's a tough question to answer, and you really have to get into the perspective of what the market is currently doing. So we're still in unfair lows in current developing profile, and we rejected the unfair lows today, and now we're starting to move higher. And the question is, in the overnights, do we move up into 678, or do we move back down and retest low volume node down here at, or not low volume node, I'm sorry, value area low at around the 374 range? That's where we're at today in current market development. Not forecasting, just development. All right, let's get back to current charts. Unless, Brightside, you have another question regarding that or like some more information, let me know. Where are we at currently in current price? Price action broke out of the range. I wish I would have been over here and seen this. We came in and we tested where sellers were, right into this range. Tested the sellers, tested the buyers. Why is that important? It's where the conversation is. Market's always having a conversation between buyers and sellers. Market trends when one side leaves. So when two sides are having a conversation, the buyers get tired of listening to the sellers, the buyers leave, the sellers are having a field day continuing to talk, and price action goes down, and now we have a trend until buyers decide to step in. So here we have a conversation, buyers and sellers. Price action pulls back directly to that area. There's your area of long. You can wait until it gets above the sellers if you want to. Any place in here is the area where you want to be long, and I should have grabbed that. And I didn't, and that's okay. I missed a position, somebody else's opportunity and possibility, not my own. Let it go, move on to the next one. Let's go. Any other questions? Other than running losses and joining a Telegram group or recovering your losses and powerful scalping strategy. Goodness gracious. You people. I'm going to figure out one of these days how to block you all. And then we won't have to worry about it anymore. But I haven't gotten there yet. So I just started streaming and I still don't know what I'm doing. So here we are. Let's see. Price action still continuing higher after this little pullback. It's starting to move in a possible trend in a short time frame. What is that going to do in the perspective of the 30-minute? 30-minute, we do have a possible resistance here in a low volume node at around 583.75. Around that 583.75 mark, we could see some resistance, or we could see a continuation to the down, or we see a continuation to a downside, or we can move back into prior value. So we're back here kind of into a market shift. Kuma, how are you today? I missed you yesterday. You were not around and I was sad. I was like, man, did I lose Kuma? And then nope, you show up today and now I'm all happy again. So thank you so much for blessing my stream with your presence. And that is not a smart aleck comment. That is absolutely genuine and authentic as can possibly be. I really truly appreciated our conversation the other day. Thank you very much for being here. I'm blessed. So thank you. Price action. Nice big up bar here. Don't try to short this because we are showing strength. You do what you want to and follow your plans. I'm just talking about what I am going to be doing, which is sitting on my hands because I am not going to short a nice momentum bar like that. It's just not on my to-do list. I got ran over too many times. Learn my lesson. Maybe. Might do it again someday. We'll see. Sellers are starting to get a little bit aggressive here on the low of this bar. Let's see if we can get some buying pressure to come in. If so, anticipate this to possibly come up and break the high. We are not seeing those buyers yet. Sellers are actually getting aggressive at higher prices. Expect the low of this bar to be broken. I really wish I knew how to read order flow a little bit, you know? Really wish I had that skill. And we're just waiting. Unfortunately, this was the entry down here, and I've missed it from talking about another chart, which is just fine. I'm grateful for the question. Please do not think that I got distracted by any measure. I could have waited to blow up that other chart. That's completely on me. Nobody in this chat or anywhere else can make me do anything. It's all the onus of responsibility always comes back onto my shoulders. But I do like to discuss these positions here, especially when I miss them, as a reminder to myself, as a reminder of who we are as traders, to be able to stay diligent, to be able to stay consistent with reading current price action, and just overall staying diligent in your craft. Kuma, how are you today? You smile, but you haven't said anything. How are you doing today? You good? I know it's late for you. Goodness gracious. Like way late for you. Thank you for coming on in and saying hi. It's so late for you. What part of Asia are you from anyhow, if you don't mind me asking? I'm asking, I've been to Singapore, been to Hong Kong, spent a year in Okinawa, Japan. I absolutely love Asia. There is a way I would absolutely move over there in a heartbeat and just stay there. Love the culture, love the food, love the people. Just, oh man, I don't know. Asia's just, it's amazing. Love it. Oh, you already said something in Discord? Well, see, I don't have Discord up right now. You gotta train me, Kuma. I don't know what I'm doing. No way. No. That's not you, is it? Is that you? Are you Aftershock? You could have said something. Now I'm kind of distraught. You could have absolutely said something. Kuma, you are amazing. I appreciate you. Oh my goodness gracious. This morning was an absolute disaster for me, but that's okay. See, I came back. And here's the thing that we have to remember. And this is, you weren't that bad at all. No, not even a little bit. No, what happened is I have so many moving pieces right now, and they're all new. And I'm trying to do something live that I haven't done since 2012. I'm trying to do something I haven't done live since 2020. So that's trading, and that's trading live in front of others in a trading room type of environment, like I ran in between 2010 and 2012. And so this is all new, and the technology is technology is a lot new. It's just different. And so then I have this Discord that I start yesterday. And so today I'm like, okay, well, somebody's asking me what my plan is. So let me go in there and see kind of what's going on. And then I read something and it's like, oh, well, I'm biased to the short side and I don't know who this person is. And I'm going to be completely real with everybody right now. You guys want to hear some authenticity? Here's something real for you. Okay. My biggest problem in life is not trusting myself and a lack of confidence. That is my biggest problem and my biggest issue, and it stems from my childhood. I know what causes it. I've spent over $120,000 trying to fix, heal, change that whole part of me. And at 50 years old, I've realized, you know what? It's not changing. It's not. I can adjust it, but it's not changing. And so when I saw the biased nature today, here I am with my auction market theory and stuff, knowing I shouldn't be going short and those type of things. And I turned around and I took somebody else's opinion and went short on it because I didn't trust my own analysis. And that threw me for a frickin' loop. Not because somebody gave me a bias or an idea, it's because I acted upon that bias and idea because I didn't trust myself. And that's only happens because I'm not on the court. And that really irritated the bejesus out of me. Because yesterday I had such an amazing day, not because of results or anything else, the fact that I was on the court, and then today I got myself off the court so easily. It's so easy right now to distract me and to get me away from the conscious participation. And that's the whole point of all of this. This is not about trading or trading psychology. This is about having an attention in our lives and not being able to be on the court to allow conscious participation to conduct our actions on the court so we can live the result of our intention. And that's what I'm trying to do here at the Live Edge. You did clearly say it was on Bitcoin. I know you clearly did. I didn't read that. See what happens when we're not on the court? It's perception. Perception is shaped by the subconscious processes. And when perception is shaped by the subconscious processes, we only see what it sees because it generalizes, distorts, and deletes all the other information. When we're on the court, though, conscious participation is observing, and now we get to see new information, and that's what changes the results. And so it had nothing to do with you at all today. But then when I make a mistake like that, I was a Marine, right? And I'm an Aries, and so it's like I'm just going to act. there's no pause. I'm like a fiery little engine and I'm just going like the little engine that could, right? And there's no stopping me. And so that's what I did. And I really wanted to make changes. And then you brought in those ideas, and Kuma, your ideas are absolutely amazing. The chart that I gave you here, was that helpful in the context of seeing my overall patterns here? And Bitcoin went down 4%. But you weren't wrong, though, because you were looking for the downside. So if it went down 4%, you were right. What am I missing? I'm missing something. I should probably go back and actually read your whole text in there, because that would give me a better idea of what we're actually talking about right now. Because I think you and I are having a different conversation because I misinterpreted and read what you were saying. Exactly. Hey, you know what? At least I'm honest. I can call myself on my own BS. Oh, good times. Oh my goodness, I didn't realize you actually joined Discord too. I had no idea that was you. So rude. I did not put two and two together. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed all the time, is what it boils down to. But, a jarhead. You can't expect too much intelligence out of us. What is it? Muscles are required, intelligence not essential. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So now we have another pullback, again, pullback here into this area of support through this little consolidation, if you want to call it that, and the breakout. But why am I not going long here? We don't have rejection on this bar. We have a nice close near its low. I'm anticipating this low to break. $600 level is extremely interesting. Absolutely. I completely agree with you. We have the 570s, the 610s, right? And then we've got the 670s, 100 points above that. This whole area is interesting. The whole way that the London session traded last night, and the Asian session too, with the volatility and just the quickness of the bars, and you would have one bar go up and then it was completely wiped out by the next bar, and the market really necessarily wasn't going anywhere for a span from about after 3:30 a.m. right? And we just traded in this range. I mean, you can see it, and these bars are just absolutely wild. 2 bars up, 2 bars down, a little bit of consolidation, a straight down. These straight downs didn't happen, they happened in 2-3 minute time frames, and they just kind of stalled out for a while. Absolutely 100% insane. And very, very, very difficult to trade. And so this morning I was already, looking at the markets, and I'm like, I have no idea. I mean, I have my plan to see value, but I have no idea. And I wasn't planning on taking a trade at all. And then I did. And then I took another one, and that second trade was actually aligned to the plan, which, that's the whole point of this, right? Make a mistake, come back. It's like falling off a horse. Where is this area of consolidation again? We're down here. So we haven't quite tested the prior range of the last consolidation period, which if it's going to go into an uptrend on the short time frame, you wouldn't expect it necessarily to get all the way back down there. Here's another area of rejection. And again, I'm talking and not paying attention to what I'm doing. I love these types of trades right here. You have down bars, you barely break a low, okay? And you look at sellers over here. You look at sellers over here where you've been before. There's less selling pressure over here than over here. Price actions unable to break these lows. Buyers step in. There's a scalp. Not a long time frame trade, a scalp. Yes, exactly, Kuma. That's why I don't like trading the London session, because there's gaps. And in those gaps, it's just a lack of liquidity. And you can try to get in at one price and you can get 3-4 ticks of slippage because of the lack of liquidity. And you move the market because of your one little market order. It's ridiculous. It's like trying to, back in the early 2000s, it's like trying to trade the Russell in the overnight markets. That didn't work out very well either. I tried. I only know these things and they don't work because I tried them. I don't necessarily listen to other people all the time. I actually just go in and try things. I traded heating oil, for example, during news, and that was a bad idea because I picked up 150 points of slippage, I think is what it was in heating oil. Trading news. I had to stop what was it? Like 400 points or $400, I think was my stop. And I ended up getting stopped out like $1,200. So I think it was like it was like 250 to 300% slippage in terms of dollar amount. So yeah, good times. Good times. And again, we're in this market shift, right? A market shift to the downside of a breakout to the downside. Price action starts to pull back from there. Is this a market shift or is this a trend? And the problem is we just don't know. We don't know right now. And market shifts are the hardest things to possibly trade. Here, trading imbalance, shorting up here, buying down here. This is all easy to do because you're anticipating balance to continue. It's when the market shifts. I used to look at this as, oh, wow, we're shifting, we're going to start trending. Well, no, it's just a false breakout. This is why I put my areas of value, my value areas on rejection points, because that gives me a sense of developing value. Or if it turns into a trend, it's just going to continue down. We break through value area low, pull back, and it gives me a place to actually enter on the short side. Rather than trying to call tops and bottoms all the time, where you're trying to catch a falling knife, or drop one. I don't know, start a falling knife, I guess is what you could say. So yeah, that's why I'm just kind of just slowly, patiently watching this. And I did have that short up here. Where was it? It might have been over here. I don't remember. I just had a short a little while ago. Just scalped it. looking for, oh, it was down here. That's what it was. Just looking for a continuation move. I only got like 2 hours of sleep last night, so I'm probably a little delirious right now, but that's okay. And then we came into this range. Look at this. I didn't even notice. We did. We came into this range. How far above are we here? Dang it. That's your long. So now I missed 2 positions. Right there. See? Why? Because we came into this range here. This range right here, where buyers and sellers were having their conversation. We're going to extend this to the right. I will get this figured out one of these days, guys. I promise and swear that I will. Why didn't it extend? There. And then it came down here into this area. You have a seller that came into the market, and then price action did come up a bit. And now we're back down here into this range. We tried to get below it, weren't able to, and now buyers are responding from this area here of where sellers are in. Oh yeah, no, they somebody came in and was like, I have 99% sure signal and I have powerful scalping strategy. So don't waste your time, link in bio. And then if you're running in losses, just join my Telegram group for recovery. This is all from TikTok. TikTok has all these wonderful individuals. And so I'm like, you guys get down with your bad selves and do whatever. I'm grateful that you have a 99% strategy. Have fun with it. and then I was talking about, then somebody else came in and said something else. And I was like, you know what? One of these days I'm going to get to the point where I'm able to just ban these people. I just haven't figured out how to do that yet. I will. I'll get there. This is a growing thing. This is like what, my first week of actually doing this live. So yeah, and I haven't even figured out how to turn my ringer off my phone yet either. Goodness gracious. What a day. See, Kuma? Got myself all kind of worked up this morning. Moving back down into the lower range here, we break this range. Oh, I kind of want to short this. I really do. I kind of want to short this, but I feel like I'm shorting it too low, and we're too close to the lows of this little consolidation phase here. I feel like if I short now, I'm shorting into unfair lows instead of shorting unfair highs. So I'm going to back off and I'm going to wait because I feel like the move I'm getting into, it's like I'm chasing the move and I want to stay disciplined and not do anything dumb. And then I missed the other move over here because I was talking about somebody asked what I thought the market was going to do in long term, if the market was going to go up, for example. So I actually brought another chart up to show what was going on the longer term perspective. And we do have a developing value area here. We did come up into unfair highs and that too. I didn't even notice that either. Yeah, I'm batting 1,000 a day. Goodness. There it is. Yep. And that little consolidation. And there's the short on the break. There's your conversation. See, it's always when you have conversations is a really good time to try to look for positions, and conversations are like this. This is too far of a spread for me to call this really a conversation. Buyers and sellers aren't conversing in the same space. But you have something like this here, and they're definitely conversing in the same space. We do have some rejection here on this high, anticipating this low to break. Yeah, good times. 2:45, about 15 minutes away from 3 o'clock. Isn't that what the start of the power hour is 3 to 4, I think is what it is. Um, it's funny, it wasn't the power hour before, it was, you know, bond traders leaving the bond pit and going over to the indices pit is what it was. That's where that really actually all started. And so you had a new influx of funds coming in for the bond traders going over and switching pits because the bonds closed early. So they would go to lunch. And that's where we had the lunch period as well. I was in a chat room one day when I was just first thinking about, before I even was thinking about coming back into trading here recently. I was in a chat room. That's what got me back involved in this mess in the first place. But I was listening to them, and they were talking about what were they talking about? They were talking about. I don't remember the topic offhand. Um, but they were just having this conversation, and I was just thinking to myself, I'm like, man, you know, what if I was able to come in here and do this and explain it? What would I do? And then that just kind of made this whole thing happen, and I kind of lost my train of thought there. So we'll just leave it at that. But a nice short, had I shorted, I just don't like shorting a range like that, especially near the low, and we're not in a trend. Getting close to unfair lows here. So let's see if we can see a possible rejection and then a test of a low and a lower low. And I can show you guys like one of my favorite trade setups and lower highs and lower lows, looking for a possible reversal pattern to go in the opposite direction. This is not the bar to do it. It's just closed near its low. You should be anticipating a continuation play to the downside. If I had some buyers or sellers down here, now see, here we go. This is it right here. Check this out. Okay. We have 42 sellers, 30, 27, 42, 30, right? We have 41, 70, 40 more sellers in here as we broke that low. Price action came up, more buyers. Buyers and sellers are both strong at the same time. Seed of Life, welcome. Thank you so much for being in here and saying something in chat. Your first time here. Well, this is like my third day here. So, we're kind of new at this together. We can just kind of be newbies. We'll be noobs together. How does that sound, Seed of Life? Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's good to have you. If you have any questions, let me know. I am going to be trading these markets today, believe it or not, but I'm, not really having that many setups right now because of the market shift that we're in right now in a longer time frame perspective. And so now we're finally starting to have a conversation between buyers and sellers right here. And then we just break through to the downside. Now we're getting some possible rejection. We're still in some unfair lows. There is a low volume node down here where we're off of right now, where we actually tested before. So let's see if we can get some rejection here. This might be a reason to take a scalp to the long side. But we need some rejection. We're not going to know what's happening for another 15, 14 seconds. So let's see. Let's watch this. It's time to hunt. We're seeing some rejection on the heat map. I can't put the heat map over here. It's just too big and nobody's going to be able to see it anyhow. So this is good. This is a good sign. But I want to see a pullback. We're coming through where sellers were once strong, right? So this should be an area of resistance. It's now acting as support, but I need to test where buyers came in. And now we just immediately go through. Can we get back up here where the sellers were? See, we're in resistance right now, which was once support. If we break through that, we could continue down. But if we come back up here, now we're looking for the potential long, and then there you go, it went to the downside. Broke the low, right? Barely broke the low. We have some buyers in here, stronger buyers than we had over here at this particular low, and price action's actually still moving higher. There's a reason to go long with a very tight stop. Now let's see if we can see a continuation to move back up to the buyers where the buyers were. Sellers are strong here at the low. I'm anticipating this low to actually break because we are seeing some stronger action into the low. Price action didn't. Now we're raising up. Let's see if we can get the test in here to where the buyers were around the 46.5, 49.5. Not yet. Testing again. This will break the low. There it is. But worry not. We're going to see if we can see a continuation now for the downside. We have a seller here. If price action comes back up to here, we could have a possible trap seller. But if we break through this area down here, we can see a continuation to the downside. Well, Seed of Life, thank you so much for being here for the day 3 instead of the day 1. I truly, again, do appreciate you. I appreciate you commenting in here, in the conversation. This is what it's all about, right? Community, and that's you're allowing the community to be built here. So thank you so much. Really do appreciate you. Now we have the buyers and sellers communicating in the same place again. We have the resistance above. Because this didn't break out with the momentum, you are expecting a pullback. That's one of the reasons why I put my stop as high as I did. There's the sellers. Now we're expecting some possible resistance in here, but now we need to get below where the buyers were. There it is. Now we came back where the VPOC was, right? Buyers tested the resistance again, trading down. Now let's see if we can get some sellers to come in here and break the low. I entered this position a little bit early. I'll be the first one to admit that. Should have waited until we broke it just a little bit more so I didn't have to wait through the pullback. But that's part of trading. Sometimes we do enter a little bit early. Sometimes it's better to anticipate the break, the wait for the break so you can get a little bit of a better feel. And that's kind of what I did in that example there. And now I have to live through the pullback. And this pullback might be strong enough to actually stop me out because we didn't break a lower low there. And we came right back and test where the resistance was and where the support is. Now we have another conversation down here. You should be anticipating this to possibly cycle higher here. Okay, but we don't know what it's going to do, so I'm going to stick with the original idea because I don't have any indication right now telling me that we're going to switch to the opposite side yet. Now we came directly into the resistance. We came back down here to where the support was, immediately found the buyers trading through. And if the market is really is weak here, we should trade off this area, possibly test in here one more time, trade back down in here, and then start breaking lower lows. And I would expect to see some momentum come in because now we have potential trap buyers above us. And if the market's not weak, then of course it's going to do this and just go ahead and make a higher high and then come up and touch the stop. And if it touches my stop, I've got to be done today because I hit my risk limit. And there it is. So that's it for the live account today. So what we're going to do is we are going to switch over to Sim and we're going to continue trading it. Oh, on to the left. Am I blocking the price action? Oh, I am because of my face cam, huh? Sorry about that. Thank you for letting me know. I appreciate that. We're going to take this off too. We're just going to take me off for a moment. In fact, what we'll do is we'll just move me over to the other side. How does that? Is that better? That should work for right now. We'll do that. Okay, there we go. So it's still the same exact scenario that we just had. Okay, nothing's changed, nothing's different. All right, what we're looking for is potential rejection here to the continuation to the downside. All right, because we do have a possible breakout out of a range of a prior breakout, which could trigger a trend to the downside. I might have just been a little bit early, but we're going to continue to hunt. We got buyers here. We're looking for price action to come down below the buyers, test the sellers, come back up, test again, give us a reason to possibly go short into this area. If we come back up through the 78.25, then there's going to be reasons to go long. So this is really our area of contention here about 78.25, and we haven't broke it yet. Why 78.25? That's actually value area low of prior value. We came down into a low volume node and rejected. If price action turns around and breaks or closes above that area of around the 79, then we're going to see a possible recycle back down to retest this area and give us a long position that will possibly move us back into the 570 area. Which of course is going to be way too high for where we're at right now. So we'll just have to find a different target and scalp ourselves out of it through trailing our stop. Pull back into this area. We haven't hit the retest yet. We broke the high. Let's turn around and see if we can't get a scalp to the upside here. We're in a pretty wide market condition, so I'm going to widen this out a little bit. Waiting for this market to see if we can't break this high right here. Price action can cycle down here into this area and then look for a higher high. There it is, up 300. So we're going to go ahead and lock in about 70 right now. Price action is now at 400. We're going to lock ourselves into about 120, 130 sounds good. Up 500, we're going to lock in about 195. I don't have an area here to really hold for moving these stops. So I'm just going to have to basically do it off of price. Why? Because we had this nice downturn. This is just a pullback. I want to give it enough room because of the volatility, but I want to lock in profits as we get them, because there's no reason of giving all the profits back and turning a positive trade into a negative trade once you're up a certain amount. And my certain amount is about $200, about 10 points in the NASDAQ. That's when I'd really like to go into what I would call a free trade, a trade where I don't have to worry about price action. Coming back and hitting me hard. So in other words, I'm not like up $100 and I'm just scalping all over the place for like $10 here and $20 there. Good. Thanks, Seed of Life, for letting me know about that. I appreciate you. Because other people are probably seeing the same thing. You just happened to mention something and I was able to change it. So thank you. Another area of support here, we're getting back above that, so we can turn around and try another long to see if we can't break the high of this particular bar. This position is wrong if it breaks the low. We do have a range extension to the downside on a 30-minute chart, which means that we could see price action trade lower here, but this is actually our first test of this move here back into where buyers and sellers were conversing. I'm looking for a possible pullback into this area. What we're going to end up doing is finessing this entry a little bit because it came down. I want to see if we can come down to here. I want to see if we can come back through here, test again, come back again. Not quite. Testing lower. There it is. We're going to go ahead and finesse this entry a little bit by adding another contract. It does increase our risk overall, our risk exposure, but what it does is it drops our entry point to allow us to, market doesn't have to move as high as it would have had to move for us to be able to go back into a break-even position. Dollar cost averaging yourself into the positions, into the trades themselves. I am going to take one off though if we break above the entry point by a few ticks, just so I can limit the risk exposure on the position because of today's volatility. Hope everybody understood what I did there. I'd be making it simple to trade. Well, thank you, Seed of Life. I appreciate that. I took my first trade in 1998. I've been trading off and on since then. I traded full time from 2008 all the way to from 2008 all the way to, when was it? 2020 when I decided to retire, and I just recently came out of retirement from trading here over the past when did I get back into actual trading. It took my first trade about a month ago. Not quite a month, but about a month. I'm an auction market theorist. To me, it's all about auction market theory. What auction market theory does is it gives me a way to be able to understand markets, not through technical indicators, right? Not through lagging information, or here's an area, I'm just going to trade out of the area and just see what happens. You use a 2-to-1 risk reward ratio, 3-to-1, whatever it might be. What's happening in the markets is we have participants, and we have to be able to understand the market mechanism. Technical indicators doesn't do anything to give us market mechanism. I know I used to trade off of BACDs and stochastic oscillators. I'll be the first one to admit it. I did it. I did pull $7,800 out of the main index back in 99 in one day. 32 points is what it was, about $7,800 in total. After commissions, about 33 points, 34 points, somewhere right around in there. And I thought I was a king of the world. It was like my first week of trading. It was the worst thing that could possibly happen to me, because I thought, oh, wow, this is always going to be the norm. Well, no, it's not. It just so happened to be a good day that cycled with a stochastic oscillator, and I got lucky. It took me a while to figure out how to trade from there. I didn't get consistently profitable until around 2010 in my own trading. It took that long, from 98 to 2010, but I did have a stint in Afghanistan someplace in there. So, it's trading should be very simple. Should be very simple. You should know what's going on at all times. We're in high volume here. We should be seeing rejection if the market is weak. The market's not weak right now. It's strong. We're in a market shift condition on the 30-minute chart, which is a very difficult phase to be trading. This is where a lot of people have difficulties trading, is through these market shifts. What is a market shift? What's going on? What do I mean by that? We have a balanced market condition that was balanced from about 3:30 this morning until about 1 o'clock this afternoon. And that balanced market condition, you should be trading that range back and forth. If you can't get into a rotation through a rejected unfair high or unfair low for a nice good entry, you can always come down to a shorter time frame chart and trade the trend. Okay. What we're in right now, though, is we broke out of that range. Now, is that a breakout or is it a start of a trend? And we don't know. Okay. I was looking at it as a breakout, but then I saw this and I'm looking at it as a possible trend now. And market just told me, no, it's not. Right. So now it's not a trend. Now it is a potential breakout. So now what do I do? That's the key, and that's the question. In my live account, I already hit my max risk on the day, which is about $1,500. Today is just a very, very, very difficult day in the markets. But what do? Do you stop? Do you continue? Who's on the court? Is it your conditioning? Is it your predictive nature? Or is it you? Because depending on who's on the court is the ones that's going to determine your actions, what you're going to do, not in trading, in life. And what I'm trying to demonstrate is that mechanism. Because if people can see that mechanism in me, and they can see how that mechanism affects their life in some way, this is what happens. Now they're able to get themselves off of the bleachers watching their habits live their life for them, and they're just observing. And they're able to get out of the bleachers, out of the seats, and stop observing and get on the court and take the action. Action what? Aligned to intention, your intention of what you want for your life. This is what I'm trying to demonstrate, and the best way that I can do that is in the live markets. Why? Because there's nothing more than the live markets that can absolutely trigger me through pressure to put me into the bleachers. And I know I'm in the bleachers because my program, my conditioning, it is the worst trader in the world. When I'm having a hard time trading, it's because of that individual is on the court taking action for me. And that's what I'm doing here, Seed of Life. That's why I call this the Human Performance Lab. That's why this to me is all about that performance. What do we do under pressure? And can we identify what that mechanism is that when we are under pressure, we do not move into the results that we want for our lives. We start feeling stuck. We blame ourselves. Why did I do that again? I told myself I was going to do this. I am over trading when I said I wasn't going to. Why do I keep doing these things over and over again? Because it's not you. Because we all have a mechanism inside of us that acts for us if we are not on the court acting aligned to our intention. Looking for a little bit of a pullback here from this move, from this rejection area. We moved my stop down a little bit because we could see a lower low here break, and then buyers actually respond to that break. Because of the volatility, I moved it down a little bit more, and nope, that wasn't the thing. It's not ready to reverse yet. I do not like trading this market condition at all. This is not my friend. Let's see. I'm trying to look at this in a perspective of what I can do at this point in time. You know what, Seed of Life? You blew your account 5,000. Okay. Your funded account. What happened? What is it that happened in that? And you know what, in Seed of Life? The fact that you just mentioned that, you have a point. I suffer from over trading because I don't like failing. 100%. Guess what? I don't like trusting myself because I have no self-confidence. Admitting those things is not weakness. Admitting those things is what gives us our power back, where we can become powerful, because we're admitting our shortcomings, and it's not our shortcomings, it's us going into the bleachers. You, right? The failing comes into play because that part of you is on the court impacting your life, and when it's impacting your life, you're failing because it's designed to fail. It's designed to create that failure. Just like mine is designed to create the lack of trust stemmed from the lack of confidence in myself. So yeah, exactly. So yesterday, my question is, were you trading from that point of failure, or were you trading from your point of intention? Were you following your plan? Were you over trading? How did you blow your funded account yesterday? If you don't mind me asking. If that's too personal, then, it's all good. You don't have to answer. I'm not going to force you. It's not like I can find you at your house right now and say, you tell me right now. Got to make light of things. You know what I mean? Looking for this low to break. I am anticipating more momentum to come into the market, and one of these days that momentum is going to be in the direction of my trade, and when it is, I'm going to get some of my expenses back and I'll be happy. Which, to be completely honest with you, now that I said that, I'm already happy because I'm doing what I love in a way that I love doing it. And this market is absolutely just not participating with me at all because I'm not participating with it. Because I'm still trying to get in too low in these positions. I'm trying to get in at the low of the bar instead of waiting for the pullback and getting in where the sellers were strong, allowing me to have either less or a bit of a wider risk. But I wouldn't be sitting here living through the pullbacks and this volatility. If you're living through pullbacks, chances are you're going to get stopped out, probability speaking, because this market is so wide. Stop me out, please, and let me get back in. I didn't follow my rules. I found myself over leveraging. Yeah. Yep. And can you see that concept of the court and the bleachers? When that was happening, were you on the court, or was that mechanism on the court producing actions that are in pattern to unwanted results? So we're up 260, 270. I'm going to go ahead and lock in 60 here. Price action is still volatile, rejecting off of the lows. Want to see what happens here in this conversation. Buyers and sellers conversing, right? What do we do up here? Do we reject or do we accept? This is what I'm looking for at this point and at this price right here. Acceptance or rejections to the upside. And I'm not just going to pop into the upside this time. I'm going to wait for it to close if it does. And then I'm going to go ahead and look for a long position on a pullback if it comes up into this area. If it doesn't, then now that we're below here with the sellers and test the buyers again, pop back down again, now I have reasons to go short. And let's see what happens. 155, 220, we're going to go ahead and lock in $45. Let's see if we can get down to 300 here. There's 300. See if we can break a low. We're in the high volume node. Come up here, looking for resistance here. Nope, turns into support. We're probably going to cycle higher. Back through value area, or this VPOC here on the prior bar. Breaking lows now. We're up 400. I'm going to bring this into 120. If we break the low of this bar, I'm going to move the stop here in this area. Sorry, Seed of Life. You were right with the direction. You just traded outside of your, did you just add too many contracts? Is that what you did? Too much size? Trading too many lots? When are you going to be able to recover from that and start back over again? Or are you going to, or are you just like, you know what, I'm done? The fact that you're here, I'm guessing you're not done, but now we have a seller down here. This is what this means, okay? This could be potential rejection, it could be acceptance. But here's the thing about having sellers here and buyers here, okay? If you have buyers and a lot of them coming in at one area and sellers coming in one area at a low and a high of a bar, if it breaks through, possible stop run. So if it breaks through that area, it's a possibility that you're going to see quick succession of price. Very quickly pop that area, okay? And then you know that you truly have buyers or sellers there in that area, all right? We haven't done that yet. And so I don't see this as more of an area of rejection now than actually acceptance of lower prices. You know what, Seed of Life, you are this trade should have been on live. I completely agree with you, Kuma. I know. It's okay. I took that one. This market condition is the hardest market condition for me to trade. And I think that's kind of why I'm trading it right now. I mean, if I'm going to challenge myself to every aspect that I possibly can, I might as well challenge myself to trade the market condition that I know is the most difficult for me to trade. And that's the shifts. When we're shifting between value and a trend. It's the hardest thing for me to trade. And I used to not be able to trade trends at all. One of the reasons why I got out of the markets and trading in 2020, because I wasn't able to trade trends. It was just very difficult for me to, when I'm a value trader and I'm looking for unfair highs, unfair lows, I'm looking for rejection points. How do you go with direction of trend? Very difficult for me to read. And that's one of the things I'm doing here too, is practicing being able to do that, because for whatever reason, I work from home. I get bored sometimes, and I throw videos on. And I was on TikTok, was finding one of my streamers, and a trading guy came on, and I looked at this chart and the market was trending. And I was like, oh my goodness, I would absolutely go long here for trend continuation. And boom, it went. And I was like, oh my God, can I really trade trends? So I watched his charts for like 2 or 3 weeks, and I was doing really well following the trend. I mean, this was in April when the markets were just trending, right? And it was a lot of fun, and it was really easy to do. And it was like, okay, let's go. And now I'm under a lot of pressure. I'm not the one that's necessarily here. I mean, yesterday, right? It's up a little over $11,000. in a single day. There's been days where I've been up 15,000. I'm having a very difficult time doing that same thing at the live edge here in this environment, and it's due to the psychological thing that I'm talking about. And this isn't about um, trading psychology. This is about psychology of what keeps us from moving into our intentions, keeping us feeling stuck in our lives, and self blame. And that's something I suffered for the majority of my life, and I've done so much work trying to fix it, and everything I tried didn't, until I stumbled onto this process that I'm doing now. And then I'm like, you know what? I can show this and demonstrate it and teach and trading as well. Let's try it. And that's why I'm here at the live edge. See if I can do it. And it's going to take me some time. It's not going to be something that's going to happen overnight, but that's the point though. You want to see the struggle. You got to see the struggle, because if the struggle isn't there in the beginning, it's not going to, you're the process isn't the process isn't tested at that point. You got to have the struggle in the beginning. Yes, exactly. I know I'm not a fan of this either, and I shouldn't be trading, but again, I'm testing it. Um, and Seed of Life. Sorry, I got on a tangent there. No, I'm the same way. That's why I didn't stop. That's why I never stopped trading, and that's why I'm back now. It's the it's the hardest and most rewarding thing I've ever done. But what I found though is the reason why it was so rewarding for me. It was never the results, and it was never about trading good or anything else. It's when I align my actions to what I intentionally want, and I get results aligned to that. There's a level of fulfillment that comes with that process. You know, it's it's the and I'll get to that in just a second. State of life, it's the fulfillment, and where that fulfillment is, there's joy. And it's not the trading that I get that fulfillment in. It's anytime I align my actions to something I intentionally want. And when I do that and the results start to, and I make adjustments, and the results start to become in line to that intention, there's no better feeling. It's like you're on fire. It's like life is the most amazing thing ever, because I'm participating in it, and the universe is telling me, hey, here you go. I'm going to reward your participation. And if I didn't show the struggle in the beginning, I wouldn't be authentic in this process. If I'm not authentic, then why in the heck would I listen to myself, let alone have anybody else listen to me? It's frustrating. It irritates the bejesus out of me, right? I want this little shift phase that I'm in right now to be done as quickly as possible, so I can get back to that feeling of fulfillment. But man, every single day I go through a period of suffering, and then every single day I'm right back to that fulfillment again, because I'm aligning my actions, which is telling me I'm on the right path. I may not be getting all of the results I want right now, but I got to stop being so result oriented, and I got to be so grateful for the process, because these moments of fulfillment mean everything, because it brings so much joy, because the self blame is not there. The negativity in my mind, this negative self talk isn't there. It's not that my mind goes quiet, it's the negative self talk isn't there. And that means everything to me, everything. And I got to remember that in my times of struggle here. Well, thank you, Seed of Life. I appreciate that. And I said the fact that you started says a lot. Um, I'm just I'm just trying to, I don't know. I want to see other people experience that fulfillment and the joy that I just spoke about. And I can't force anybody, and I can't make them drink, from the trough, right? But what I can do though is I can show up. I can show up, and I can be here, and I can do this, and I can show my struggles, and I can show the results on the other side as well. And I can say, hey, look, we as human beings can live a life aligned to our intentions, and we can live intentionally. And if I can help one person see that, not help them get there, that's a framework. And you got to do it yourself because the process, we're all different. The path that you walk is the same. How you walk the path is different. Yes, I need to. You're 100% correct, Kuma. I appreciate that. And Seed of Life, I will say the same thing. If you do feel connected and love this place and the information I'm giving you, definitely please come over to the Discord because we're doing some amazing things in the Discord. And I had nobody, and yesterday we had 5 people sign up to the Discord, and already we're growing and we're moving and shaking, and it's just showing how you get individuals that are intentional, and you get them together and you get them working together. That synergy creates amazing things, and the energy in that place is just amazing. And Kuma, I had no idea that was you. Kind of irritates me a little bit because, man, you are you're the reason, Kuma, why I'm going to continue doing this. I went to Sushi today. I was like, hey, Sushi, do we really want to be doing this? Am I wasting my time by doing this? Am I really wasting my time because I know I have the proof that I can do this outside of this environment? Am I just struggling for no reason? Are we better off doing this on our own? And here is Sushi's response. This is the most, I love this guy. Absolutely love this guy. Sushi's response is, I'm just going to read this verbatim because this really needs to be authentic. It can't just be a story, and it can't just be, whatever. It has to be purposeful. You're not messing with our livelihood, and you're not demanding too much of yourself. You just had a real trigger happen live in real time. And no growing. This isn't going to mean an endless series of things you have to get past. It means building structure so fewer of these moments happen in the first place. The dedicated section for your pre-market reads and analysis in the server, separate from open commentary during your live trading, solves a specific issue directly. This is not you demanding more of yourself. This is just a boundary the channel needed, and now you know it. This isn't a sign to scale back, it is a sign to add one clear rule and move forward. I can't put links into multi-chat yet. I haven't figured out how to do that. I can through TikTok, but not YouTube yet. Seed of Life, it is Live the Return. So if you go to Discord, look up Live the Return, and the link will be there. If you have an issue finding that, my website is livethereturn.com. Sign up for one of the free live sessions that I'll do, and I'll be able to talk to you and get you into Discord that way as well. I wish I could send links. I just don't know how to yet. It's one of the shortcomings that I have to work on. But that response right there, I have individuals in my life. I'm so grateful and so lucky to have such supportive individuals in my life. And I just met Sushi through this process in February, randomly. It's not like, I brought all of this into this world. It's like this world opened up and it's all coming together, and it's just beautiful. Yeah, you can go to the channel video as well and find on the video or the previous live stream, because we do put that as a pinned comment as well. Thank you, Kuma, for letting me know. Goodness gracious, Kuma, I need to get you online and just have you do all this stuff for me because you're amazing. Seriously, guys, I can't make this stuff up. I cannot make this stuff up. This is so meaningful and real and raw. And I'm just flabbergasted. I'm so grateful. Are the results aligned to exactly what it is that I'm looking for? No, but they're aligned to the process and the results. I can have expense days in trading, and I'm not upset because I'm not doing this for the trading. I'm not doing this for the results of whatever. It's so much bigger than that. And to be in my first week doing this and people already responding to it, it's like, oh my God. I don't know. It's so surreal. It's overwhelming sometimes, actually, the beauty of it. It really is. But I am so grateful. A-Trades, welcome. Thank you for joining. Another one. You know, appreciate you for being here. Absolutely. Having a bit of a drawdown today. This is a market structure that I don't trade well. I never have. I don't know if I ever will. I'm practicing it though, and I'm trying to trade it so maybe I can get better at it. But it's a market shift. When the market shifts from trading imbalance to a range extension, which could be a breakout that can turn into a trend. And that moment before it goes back to value or moves into a trend, what do you do? And I have a very difficult time trading that market condition. I might be to a point where I just don't trade those conditions, and luckily they don't happen that often. Maybe once a week, maybe once a month. But I mean, there's periods of time where you can stay months in an area of value because I'm using longer term charts for determining my value. So that's what's going on right now at the moment. Um, yeah, no, and so we're just, discussing this whole process that I'm going down and what it is that I am doing. So thank you for stopping by A-Trades. I really do appreciate you. So yeah, Seed of Life, that's what we're about, and I love your name. I mean, Seed of Life reminds me of like the tree of life, the threshold of creation where you're at the door, the threshold is right there. Do you cross that over and create your intention? Seed of life, it's the same thing. It's amazing. I love it. Kuma, I haven't found a good combination to your name yet. It's probably because I just don't know the meaning of it. But I'm going to figure it out though. It's going to happen. I will definitely do that. We're going to do that right now. In fact, going to be honest with you, Seed of Life, I don't know anything about Discord. I don't know how to do that. But what I am going to do is I'm going to have my partner in crime. His name is Sushi. I am going to have him ELIMO_31 to Discord. He is in the Middle East, so it might not be it might not happen tonight, but by tomorrow morning we will have that. I'm going to follow up with that tomorrow as well. I have it as well. I'll figure out how to do it if I need to, and we'll get you hooked up in the next 12 hours or so. Appreciate your patience. I appreciate your patience of me trying to figure out how to do all of this technology stuff that I don't know how to do. I got too much gray hair. Oh, he's actually he's responding right now, so we'll see. Hopefully it'll be sooner than later. Oh, it's a clothing brand you're coming up with, and that's amazing. What kind of clothes are you going to be doing? Like t-shirts, denim hats. What do you have going on over there? Um, I guess there's a possible problem with the stream where there's two of them being streamed at the same time. I don't know. We'll figure it out. See, it's just all over the place. Whatever. We're going to get them figured out because we're not going to stop and we're going to continue moving forward. And we're just going through some growing pains. And even going through growing pains, I've had a pleasure of three individuals come in that are extremely influential. And it's already happening because you guys are amazing. Truly, truly appreciate you. Clothing line. You're in Dubai as well. Okay, yeah. Yeah. T-shirts, hoodies, and caps only. Beautiful. What are you looking at doing with them? Do you have like a design? Are they going to be printed embroidery? What are your plans? Are you looking at actually doing your whole clothing line where um you're going to have your own label? Or are you going to be using somebody else's label and just designing the print on them? I know I have all sorts of questions. I'm sorry. See, I designed these for the return. I wear the white one for this setup here, so it's kind of like a lab coat. Got a whole theme going on, right? We'll see how it works. And I have the black ones that I do for my videos, which is more like a classroom, and now I'm like a professor. And Kuma, just to show you, I missed it. But check this out though. Look at this low volume area on a prior profile, right? It's in the middle of value here, and it came down and it rejected directly off of that in the area where I'm looking at going short. And that aligns directly to this area here where we've got developing value. That same area, the same way it's drawn, right? Rejection from that area, and now we're starting to move up, and I'm trying to go short. I'll get it figured out. I'm explaining too much of the order flow, which is causing me to focus too much on the short-term charts and not see the longer-term perspective. I love it. Amar Sushi, thank you so much for getting him set up. Again, amazing people. I couldn't do this without you guys. All of you. I love it. Your own label. Are you I'm not going to ask you that question. That's too personal for the business. I love the concept. I was looking at doing a clothing line called Cali Maine, like from California to Maine. Make everything US based, so it was bring the textiles back into the US, and so American made Cali Maine. And I'm not a nationalist. That's not what I was looking at in the concept of it by any stretch of the imagination. But we are a service economy in the United States. We have very little industry at the moment, and I really just wanted to do it for employment, build kind of like a community with houses and stuff from the revenue, and really be able to take care of the people that come and work for us. Think of something like Hershey. That was my dream about 2 decades ago, and completely went a different direction than that. Yeah, so it happens, whatever. um but yeah, no, there's longer term time frame telling me that I need to be going in a particular direction. I'm too focused on the short term chart. I'm way too focused on the heat map as well. Let me get back to basics and let me do what it is that I need to do. Again, we get on the court, we're off the court. We don't realize that we're off the court. Our perception changes. And as our perception changes, so do the results. Stop blaming ourselves. Stop thinking that we're the cause of all of it. We are the individual that can get out of the observation, because there's only one part of us that can be on the court at one time, because the body can only respond to actions coming from one source. The body can't respond to two. The body will get paralyzed. That's why what happens when deer in the headlights, for example, is because its central nervous system gets too overwhelmed and it doesn't know what to do. When you have deer in the headlights, you just stop, you panic. I had the same situation in Afghanistan. And you never know how you're going to react to certain situations, and I did. I just stopped. I didn't move. I didn't react. I had to be pulled away from the situation because I couldn't take control of my body myself. Um, and whatever is controlling the body and the central nervous system uses our senses to gather information from our environment, and that information gets deleted, generalized, and distorted, and that distortion, or that new filtered information, becomes what shapes our perception. And the more I go into this and the more that I see just how prevalent my central nervous system is what I call the program, and how often it can be on the court and I don't even realize it. It's amazing to me. It boggles my mind. But this process and this work and you guys being here allows me to see that. And you guys are awesome. Thank you guys for getting that all set up. Thank you, Kuma, for stepping in and saying, hey, you can do this. And then getting on with Sushi. Sushi's automatically here. This is good golf. I'm really enjoying this. It's growing pains. I don't necessarily like the results of my trading right now, and I hope that individuals aren't following me because I am developing into this process. And even after I am developed, I really hope people aren't following me, because what's the point of getting a result that you can't duplicate yourself? And you're not living an authentic life at that point in time. You're getting a result that you can't do on your own. And that's any success that you get from that is going to be short-lived because you can't recreate it on your own. And this is a reason to go long right here. A little late to the party, but see, it doesn't matter if you're late to the party when you're going in the right direction, because momentum is usually there to save you. Why did I go long there? Because of the long-term perspective, what I was just talking about. We just broke the high of a 30-minute time frame, anticipating a continuation of the move to the upside. This is what happens when we're aligned, guys. I don't even have to think about it. It's just there because I'm not even watching this short-term chart over here. I'm not even watching order flow. I had to look over to order flow. I was like, oh, wow, look, we're over here just above there. I could have entered. Oh, wait, where everything else is telling me on the long, just go. Boom, there it is. Trading really can be that simple. All of life can be that simple if we just allow ourselves to act upon what we see. But we've got to see the perspective from the intention, not from the pre-programming that we've been carrying with us since childhood. Thank you, Kuma. See, I'm learning. You can teach kids new tricks. Old dogs, whichever one you want to go with. But yeah, and now what should we be looking at here? A potential pullback, and a potential pullback where? Right here in this area, but we have buyers here for potential support. We don't have the sellers, we don't have that communication, so I'm not exactly keen on understanding exactly where the pullback is going to be, because I don't have both sides where the market can be attracted to that the location of that conversation to see if they can't get back into it again. But I am expecting some pullback here for resistance from these buyers here. We get back through it, and there's a good chance we're going to continue to the upside, because we are definitely moving higher on multiple time frames. I would much prefer to have an area of a pullback to get into. I just can't. I can't identify one right now. And if I can't identify a pullback of what I'm looking for, we've already kind of broken out of this area. A good pullback area would be into the 378s. Get away from the short time frame charts, get back over to the long-term charts, find your structure and trade around your structure. And if market doesn't get back down to 378, well, then you know what? It goes without me, and that's okay. I picked up my little scalp. There we go. Questions, comments, concerns? Have I confused the bejesus out of everybody? I mean, is anybody even here because they're just like, wow, this guy's crazy? Which, kind of goes par for course. We're trading. We got to be a little bit crazy in a certain sense, because this is not an easy thing to do. There's definitely easier ways to make money and spending your time. You got to be a free thinker. You got to be willing to think in possibilities. You got to be willing to see probabilities in your life. And these are the people that trading attracts. And those are my kind of people. If you can see probabilities, beautiful, because probabilities are directly linked to possibilities. How do we arrange probabilities to allow the possibilities we want to manifest in our lives? Not manifest in terms of, like law of attraction and those type of things, manifestation and alignment, aligning action to intention and be intentional within our actions. And I went long off of a short time frame chart without waiting for the pullback on the structure. Good golf. You're trying to understand the way I trade? Well, I'm kind of all over the map right now, so that's probably where the confusion is. But let me break it down for you, Seed of Life. Let me make it very easy for you in the context of how I trade. All right, we're going to get away from the short-term chart right now. We're just going to go to the long term. What I'm looking for is I'm looking for ranges. That's it. I'm looking for ranges. And what I want to do in the ranges is I want to be short. Let's bring this back over here where my drawings are, back where you can actually probably see them. Here, we got to go this way. No. What I want to be able to do is I want to be able to understand market condition. We're in a range. And in a range, I'm anticipating unfair lows to reject and unfair highs to reject. And and then we rotate back into the opposite side of value. That's my anticipation. That's exactly how I trade. There's no any way other way of explaining it other than that. And when we break out of value, what I'm looking for and waiting for is a trend. And either the trend is going to establish itself or we're going to move back into value. But value can be seen from multiple different perspectives, okay? You got that perspective there on a 30-minute chart, and then you also have this perspective here, which is more of like a daily profile chart, okay? And in the daily perspective, what is price action telling us? Price action is telling us that we're probably going to reject somewhere out of these areas. Well, where's the somewhere? Low volume nodes. What's a low volume node? Price didn't trade in that area for very long. It's all about time and price, TPOs, time price opportunities. And what we're looking for is areas where we would expect possible rejection to come into the market. Okay. And we can pinpoint those areas looking for the low volume within the volume profiles themselves. Now we're looking for rejection, and then we're also looking for acceptance. What's acceptance? Where price has spent a lot of time trading around an area. What is the acceptance? Like here, this high volume, any type of you can tell I'm getting tired. My brain is not working. We have high volume areas, POCs, point of controls. When we go into a point of control, why is it a point of control? Because a lot of price and volume traded around there. Well, most of the time, because price and volume traded around an area a lot, probably spent a lot of time there or more time there than in other areas. Less time in the low volume nodes, more time in the high volume nodes. Okay. And so in that context, what we're constantly doing is watching how buyers and sellers participate in moving around value. And then, of course, how they participate in a trend moving away from value. The reason why I'm all over the map right now in my trading and you trying to understand, how I'm trading, it's because at the moment I shouldn't be trading. And this is why. We came into an area of value and we were traded around that value until we broke that value. When we break value, one of two things is happening. One, either this is a breakout, okay, and a breakout moves into a trend. So we have a breakout that moves into a trending market condition. The other thing that it represents is a breakout that actually becomes a false breakout because it doesn't turn into a trend, okay? And that's a shift. It's a market shift. We're shifting from value into possible trending. And if we don't trend, we're going to shift back into value. And it's a very difficult period for me to trade because I don't have reference. My low volume nodes, my high volume nodes direction of trade, all of that is done through my auction market theory. However, when you turn around and you take a market shift from value directly into a breakout, we don't know what's going to happen at that point. Does a trend start or do we move back into value? And I need something to trigger that for me to be able to really substantiate a trade. What I've been trying to do today is trading from this time frame, looking for opportunities based upon auction theory within footprints. And I'm getting myself absolutely lambasted. Why? Because I don't have a longer term structure to lean on to give me direction and area for my trades. I'm more guessing than I am being consistent in a methodology. That's why you see me all over the place right now. Does that make sense? Does that help you understand how I do trade though? I'm not demonstrating it right now because I'm in a market condition that is in that shift. And that shift for me is very difficult to trade because it's not an area where I should be doing business. And that's a beautiful thing if you think about it. If you can see areas in the chart that you don't want to do business, see, a lot of people will say, oh, well, that's just chop. I got myself chopped up. It's because you don't have a trading methodology that works well when the market is range bound trading in balance. Markets trade in balance 60-70% of the time. They only trend a good 20 to 30% of the time usually. We've just been in a really big trend here for the most part. But when that trend ends, we can spend a year in balance. And if you can't trade chop, you're going to have a very difficult time because you're still going to try, but you can't. And then you're going to blame all of your expenses on chop. And so my expenses right now is in an area that I shouldn't be doing business in the first place. I can identify that and I should just be sitting on my hands. But instead I'm trying to act because I'm here in the live edge and people want to see me trade. That's part of the trigger. Something again that I need to work on and develop in this process. And I will. It's going to happen because I can recognize that I can see it and I know it's not aligned to my intention. And so, yes, the next time I'm in a market shift like this, I'm going to sit on my hands and we're just going to have a conversation because there's nothing for me to do. Because I've identified an area where I do not want to do business. It's like a business person. If you're running your own business, there's some people and some things you just don't want to do business with or you don't want to be involved in. You know where you don't want to be involved. And part of trading is knowing when you don't want to be involved in trading because this happens. This is where drawdown occurs because you don't have your edge. People don't have patience. That's why they get chopped 100%. It's a patience issue. It's a fear of missing out issue, which could be aligned to patience as well. But fear of missing out is a bit more is less broad. It's easier to be able to identify. Where patience, it's like, okay, well, how do I have patience? Well, fear of missing out. Okay, now how do I stop fearing missing out? It's a little bit more detailed and easier to be able to come up with a plan on how to fix that than saying, I just don't have patience. But it all comes back to the idea of patience, right? Or in my case, wanting to demonstrate something in an environment that I can't demonstrate. Now I'm trying to control an uncontrollable environment, but the market's not an uncontrollable environment. The uncontrollable environment is me, my internal processes. Yeah, see, seed of life, exactly. Um, but I'm amazed in just 2 months I understood even in hard way, but it was yes. And that's the key, right? Watch traders. And I go back to traders because trading is one of those things where your results are immediate, right? You don't have to wait days, weeks, months in order to be able to see a result. It happens in sometimes in minutes, sometimes in moments. What's going on is when we're trading and we get ourselves into a position that maybe we could or couldn't do, one of the things we do is we justify, oh, well, they're running stops. blame somebody else, or blame smart money, or we're not following smart money, or it just didn't like me today, or whatever it might be. We hear traders say stuff like that all the time, and what I notice is those are the individuals that don't really last in the market for very long. Why? Because they never get to the point of understanding what it's causing the issue. When you're blaming something that's outside of yourself, you're transferring responsibility of the result to whatever that is. And the one thing we can't change is anything inside of our result, or anything outside of ourselves. The only thing we can truly change is anything inside of ourselves. But even change is relative, because by the time we're 25 years old, our neural wires within our brain that runs our central nervous system, and our predictive nature and our predictive behavior, before the age of 25, the environment can change that. Something changes in the environment, the brain is malleable, it will change its predictive nature based upon that new information. When we turn 25, that shuts off. The environment, for the most part, takes a back seat, and it's no longer the primary force or primary driver of change. What is consciousness, what we want, intention, focus. The key is focus, but what do you focus on? You focus on intention, on what it is that you want to give you the urgency to take the action, not yesterday, not thinking about doing it yesterday, not thinking about doing it an hour from now, right now, in this moment, or you plan the moment that you're going to do it. And we have to take participation in that process in order for the brain to change. If not, we're going to stay stuck in the habits for the majority of our life. Now, you do get trauma, you do get illnesses and those type of things. And those things are environmental things that can change neuroplasticity after the age of 25, when those wires pretty much cement themselves. Some changes in the environment can produce changes, but it's not the norm. To do it, we have to take conscious participation. And the problem is the world isn't teaching us that process. They're not teaching us how to do that. They're not teaching us any of this stuff. And that's what I want to change. I want to be able to teach this information. I want to be able to help people understand it. I want people to be able to come online and say, hey, I can actively participate in changing the neural wires, the synapses in my brain that trigger the actions that I take. And when I change the actions that I take, I can change my results. Let's get away from the magic of law of attraction and transformation and mindsets and grind sets and motivation and discipline and dedication and these things that people tout, and they say, hey, this is what you need to do, and you need to change your habits, and you need to stop doing the bad habits. Okay, great, but let's learn how to do it in a way that's natural for us, that actually is aligned to the science of what we're learning about the brain and the central nervous system, not on these ideals that are magical, that don't work or create the lasting transformation. Self-help is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and we're not seeing people make lasting change in their lives. We're still seeing people suffering and stuck and having the same issues and the same problems that they've always had over and over again, because our brains work off of patterns, and we're just following the same patterns and routines because we're not being taught how to actually interrupt them and do something different. I'm really passionate about this, and I'm sorry, I'm sure that passion comes out and it probably turns some individuals off, but man, that's what this work is designed to do. And not in a course, and not something that I'm selling, and not something that, only a few people can do, or whatever it might be, or, follow this absolute, plan step by step, and here we go. It's not a step-by-step plan, it's a framework. We provide the framework, we create the framework, and we demonstrate that framework over and over again. And we demonstrate the issues behind it. This whole time, as soon as we came into these areas down in here, I should only be thinking long. I should only be thinking long. And here, this whole time, I'm trying to go short because a short time frame is telling me that we're in a short market condition. Well, that's fine. I can do that on the initial breakout over here, right? And what does that look like? Price action turns around, breaks through, comes back and tests, right? Am I in the right place? No, this is way late. I need to get back into the afternoon. Somehow missed it. Okay, here we go. Price action tried to break through, closed below, right? And then we have these areas of buyers and sellers, okay, right through here. But what happens? Price action breaks down, right? This is the first time we actually have auction. We have an auction here, okay, but it's at the low. It doesn't give us the place of high. But check this out. As price action's coming down, buyers, right? Buyers, watch what happens at these highs. Watch what happens right there. Auction, buyers and sellers coming in to this area, expect a pullback and look for a short. There's your pullback. It broke the highs, but it didn't break the higher highs. Price action comes back down to this area. That's where you want to short. And if you can short in these areas like this and see those auctions, now there's places to get into the market. And then what happens? Price action brings a low down here. Well, now we should stop trying to trade off the short time frame chart and go back to the long time frame chart. Why? Because now we have this area we came down. And if I would just wait for the 30-minute chart to close, we have this area right here of rejection. And if we have rejection off the lows, what should we be expecting? We should be expecting price action to continue higher. And what do we get? Price action higher. What do we get? An auction. What do we get? Price action pulling back into the previous auction area, telling us possible long positions. And if we're scalping those areas because we're in a market shift, there we go. But if we start to going into a trend or trading imbalance, we can extend our profit targets. It depends on the market condition we're trading in. Been doing finger gestures lately just to train my brain, but watching TikTok videos. Yeah, exactly, right? And that's what I mean. It's like, how is that even helpful, right? My work is the foundation of my work came from a video that I watched from Andrew Huberman when he first came online, and really started going out into the public through Rich Roll and the Rich Roll podcast back in 2020 with Andrew Huberman. And he talks about focus. He talks about neuroplasticity, and he talks about how to change it. Focus, urgency, action, and sleep. That's the framework, and to change it. And he's like, I'm a scientist. I don't have the process to put that together. In his words, somebody smarter than me will come around that's able to do that. No, it's not somebody more intelligent. It's somebody that thinks differently. He's a scientist. I'm not a scientist. I don't think that way. I don't think the way he does. I think a big picture, and then I think in details, and then I bring the details to line to the big picture, and then I bring everything back into alignment from the big picture down to the details to make sure it all fits, right? I don't look at the universe and say, okay, look, I want to understand the cosmos. I want to understand the center of the universe. No, I want to understand the planet that we're on. Because if I can understand the planet that we're on, I'm understanding the starting point, our essence. And then I can take the interworkings of that essence and bring it out to the heart of the universe. And then I can look at the heart of the universe through that lens and say, okay, now I can understand the framework that would allow this planet to exist. And then I can turn around and bring that idea back down to the planet again and say, okay, does it make sense? Not because I'm saying, okay, here's a theory of everything, or here's the answer to all the world's problems, but to be able to establish and say, okay, this is what neuroscience is telling us. Now, how do we get back to me? What is my issues? What do I run with? Why do I get stuck? Why do I have self-blame? Why do I have negative self-talk? Well, if it's Andrew Huberman, it's because I have neuroplasticity. I have wires in my brain that are constantly firing and firing on their own. That means that there's another part of me that exists that has to be doing something in my life that's taking the action because my body is doing what it says and my body is its slave. Now, how do I become the master of my own body? How do I put myself into that position? And then how do I explain this stuff? And then does that even work within the context of the overall universe? And from what we were told and taught through ancient ideas of spirituality on multiple various religions are all pointing to the same thing, all pointing to the same thing. And the verse that I go back to, that it's all pointing to, not because I don't follow a religion. I'm highly spiritual, but I don't follow a religion. But it's, do not be conformed to the patterns of this world. And we're conformed to the patterns of this world because that's how we were born. If you think about a baby, let's go back to the very beginning of who we are, right? Not just the planet, but who we are. Go back to a baby. What does a baby know about itself and the world around it? Nothing. It has some genes and things, and it has some hereditary things that's passed on to it that's going to dictate what it's going to be physically, right? But when it comes to its intellectual, as it comes to its understanding of the world, it doesn't know anything. Because how do we understand anything from the world? The world, the universe, is nothing but information. It's all information. That's all it is. Everything is information. If you were to shut your senses off right now and you had no senses, everything in the universe would still exist. You couldn't perceive it. You couldn't rationalize it because you don't have any way of being able to interpret the information that you're receiving. But you put the senses on and now you're able to interpret. But we're not able to interpret full information. We're only able to interpret the information that our senses allow us to interpret. In other words, look at light, for example. Light spectrum is about, yay wide, right? We can only see about this much of the spectrum. That doesn't mean the rest of the spectrum doesn't exist. It means that we can only interpret this amount of spectrum. So a baby that doesn't know anything about anything whatsoever is born, and all of a sudden their senses turn on, and they can't take care of themselves. They can't do anything else. We're born into an environment that's absolutely 100% deadly to us. Completely. You look at any other species out there when they're first born, a lot of them don't even have parents or anything else. They're just laid eggs and they just go off into the wilderness, and a certain percentage of them survive. Human beings is like the only entity on this planet, the only life form that can't survive on its own when it's first born. You got kangaroos and some ape species and those type of things, which are the same thing, or kind of the same thing, but not quite. But yet at the same time, we're all life and we're all connected to that life. So what is it special about human beings that makes it where we can't take care of ourselves? Because not being able to take care of ourselves, we break. We break because we don't understand the world, and the world has to pattern itself through the environment we were born in to conform the person who we are, so we can be conformed to the environment so we can survive and we don't become outcasts. And this whole process happens from the time we were born until we die. But it stops being that whole process stops something at about the age 25. And that something is the environment no longer shapes it. That means that we were all shaped by the environment before the age of 25, including at the first time that we were conceived, the moment of conception, because we can still perceive information when we're in the womb. Yeah, Real Buyer did step in, absolutely. And, we see price action, move in that direction, but it's 4:03 and I don't trade this late. So, but you're 100% correct. And I went on the tangent and didn't see it. But that's what we're up against. We're up against that system and the conformity to the patterns of this world. And everything tells us that we can transform that and renew it to a new image. And what's that new image? Well, if you look back at humanity, we could say, okay, well, we have free choice, but we can't choose what environment we grew up in because we were born into the environment. Unless at one point in time, we did choose the environment we were going to grow up in, and we just don't remember that choice. And Kuma, you're absolutely correct, right? One of the things that I noticed this morning in this chart here was cumulative delta. Okay, watch cumulative delta. Price actions going down, 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 down. Cumulative delta is going down. And then all of a sudden here, cumulative delta starts to move sideways and up. And what happens to price? Price continues to move down. What's happening is sellers are absorbing the buying pressure coming into the market until the buyers step aside, or the sellers step aside and buyers take off. And what you're seeing here, At least you tell me what you're seeing. When price action is going down here, what's happening? Delta is going up the whole time until the breakout occurs. And now we start seeing decreasing delta. And this is where I got confused in this breakout, because it was happening on lower volume, but the delta is still dropping. And we're seeing lower lows through the dropping of the delta. Is this now a possible continuation move? And then what I didn't notice was the drop in price here, but we didn't see the drop in delta. We almost saw a positive move in delta, and that's where I should have been able to switch and see that, and I would have if I would have been focused on my long time frame charts. Yeah, and live the return. And so what do we have? What's the return? The return is to the present moment. The return is to this moment, not the past, not the future, not the conformity to the patterns. The return to the present moment, because that's what gives us the freedom and the separation from the program in the first place. And now we're free to act. We're free to move. We're free to have free will, to have free choice. That's no longer aligned to the environment, but to who we are today and who we intend to be, which I believe that we have that within us. When we were children, we dream dreams. We stop doing that when we get older. Why? Well, because we get jaded, right? Why dream dreams if we can't create them? Why can't we create them? Because we conform to the patterns, and the patterns control the vast majority of our actions. And then the world says, oh, well, you need to wake up. Wake up? What does that even mean? How do you wake up? What do you mean? I am awake. That's not a good answer. That answer just tells me that you don't have the answer and you're just giving an answer. Everybody's great at being able to talk about, oh, you need to be on the court, or you're just observing. They're great at creating all of this theory stuff and explaining it much better than I am. But none of them have an answer of what humanity can actually do in order to break out of the program and into intention. And intention is where free choice starts, because now we get to choose what we're going to have in life. Let's see, where is current price at? Oh my goodness, this is so crazy. Because when I was watching this, I was looking at, as you're coming down into this area, I don't think you guys can see this chart. I have to bring it over. When it's coming down into this area, into these low volume areas, right? And you're coming back up, you're looking for price action to test back into value area low. You're looking at price coming back into VPOC, and that's exactly where it went. And this is why I like auction market theory, because when you are trading in a range of balance, you have an idea of where the market can go. You can target those areas. And so now you're not even guessing on the exits. And yeah, that's the return. The return to consciousness, the return to conscious participation, the return to the present moment, the return to the place where you're able to take conscious participation and turn it and apply it to the court, where you're able to take action in your life aligned to whatever it is that you want. That's the full circle. That's the full story. Now, how do you get that message out to the world? How do you get the world to see it? How do you get the world to even accept that concept? I haven't figured that out yet, but I'm working on it. And I'm trying not to teach it, and I'm trying to demonstrate it. But sometimes you have to get out of the lab and get into the classroom so you can understand the theory. So when you demonstrate, you can apply the theory in the lab and you can see how it's working. And right now, the theory is working extremely well in the lab, because I'm really seeing where my program is on the court, and I'm sitting in observation a lot more than I would ever have admitted or seen before. Seed of Life, I'm grateful you're here. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being a sounding board for all of this. Critique me. please. I mean, my trading sucked today, 100%, right? Which is fine, whatever. That's not what this is about. But in the context of the demonstration, am I demonstrating that? Am I demonstrating what is causing it? How is my explanation? Is it easy to follow? Am I being too deep? Am I being too redundant? Is it easy to follow? Is it hard to follow? Am I talking too fast? You know, it's this feedback that is going to be worth spades in the future, because I'm going to be able to make adjustments to what it is that I am doing and help align it to an audience. And that's really what it boils down to. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing at all. I'm just doing. But anytime we do something new, we never know what we're doing, and we just have to do. And I know that if I do this from my patterns, it's not going to be what it could be if I let conscious participation enter the court and take the action. And Kuma, this goes for you too. Please, feedback, feedback, feedback. You know, today was a fluke. It was a situation I haven't been in before, and you know, it caused a difficult situation for me, but you weren't the cause of that by any stretch of the imagination. I'm like you even said, you know, I'm talking about Bitcoin, and my observation was not able to see that because the perception wasn't reading. The perception was skimming and saw biased short, and it picked up on that, and here we go, because I was already confused, and the confusion leads to a lack of confidence in myself. And why was I confused? Because the market, the speed, the volatility this morning, everything was telling us that this was not a market we wanted to do business in today. And yeah, I was able to make some fake money in a sim account of what, 49.59, but I'm down in my live account. Why? Because I'm doing business in a market condition I shouldn't be doing business in the first place, and that's the truth. And if we can't get to the truth, and we try to explain circumstance outside of truth, then we find ourselves reacting to untruth. And that doesn't lead to conscious participation, because that just leads to more patterns, because the pattern isn't true. Seed of Life, thank you for the feedback. You made it clear, but you're trading the zone. You made it clear that you're trading the zone where you're not supposed to, and I have been on a losing stake, and I just love learning. Yeah. Yeah. That's an interesting concept. I'll never know where my breakthrough will be. I like that. I like that. Can I ask, how old are you, Seed of Life? You're either an old soul or you have experience in life, one of the two. I don't know which one it is. I'm 50, by the way. So, you know, I wear my age on the sleeve. I'm proud of that. I'll never know where my breakthrough will be. I'm going to ponder on that for a little bit. 34. Yeah, an old soul. I mean, of course, at 34 you have some life experiences, but you're definitely wise beyond your years, my friend. Well, guys, I'm done trading. It's 4:14. I have life requirements that I need to do as well. But I'm going to be back here tomorrow on the same bat channel. I mean, here, if you look in the back of my chair, you even have the Batman symbol on it. So yeah, I'll be back here on the same channel, the same time, 9:40 tomorrow morning. I don't show up at 9:30. There's a reason why I don't show up 9:30. I don't show up at 9:30 because if I do, I'm going to try to trade the open sometimes, because I'll just see something. And so it keeps me from trading the open when I don't show up until 9:40, because that's an area where I have a really deep-seated issue with discipline. So 9:40 until 10:40, around there, and then I come back online at 2 to attempt to trade the afternoon markets. I might add a third stream in the Asian session, not to trade, but to go over trading, because practice means absolutely everything in all of this. Because here's the thing, when you have focus and urgency, you don't change the neuroplasticity or the wires in your brain, you mark them for change, and then you take action. But that action isn't solidified within the wire until you sleep. And so if you mark it for change and you take action and then you practice, you can actually adjust those wires before you sleep. And now that practice within those wires is actually in place when you go to sleep. And it's the repetition of that over and over again that produces the change within the wire. Yes, New York time. Sorry. Yes, Eastern. US Eastern, New York time. 9:40 to 10:40, 2 o'clock to whenever. And then I'm probably going to do another stream for the practice, because the practice is so important. And if you read like the book, like the Talent Code, for example, right? A lot of places that build a lot of talent from people, they're not the shiny places and those type of things, the places where they have all the money and all the resources. That's not what produces a lot of talent. The talent is produced out of the places that you wouldn't expect. The places that are in the slums that, are very, very basic. Why? You don't have the distractions. You don't have the expectation. You don't have anything else. You're just going there to practice. And the way you practice absolutely matters. And that's another thing I need to demonstrate as well. It's one of the reasons why I use this platform, because this platform has one of the best replays that I can find. I used to use Sierra Charts for that same purpose, and Sierra Charts is great for that too. But you need an engineering degree in order to be able to run Sierra Charts, because it just has too many options. I use Deep Charts because it's very clean, very simple, and it doesn't crash. And I don't need anything more than what I have on my charts right now. In fact, I probably have too much already. But I need to stop being so focused on the short-term chart, though. And I need to start making sure that I'm watching my longer-term charts, watching structure and hunting for areas. Once I see an area, then I can hunt for entries. But as we saw earlier, for that long, you don't even have to hunt for areas. You just see it. It just happens. It just jumps right out you. Why? Because you're so focused on your longer term that your perception shifts. And your perception now automatically sees what it needs to see in order to be able to act according to the structure. Kuma, you have a great day as well. Thank you so much. Oh, I so appreciate you. We'll talk in Discord too. You enjoy. Have yourself a great night. Get some rest. You've been up late. Way late. You kept Kuma past their bedtime. Anything else, Seed of Life? Anything you want to just touch on before we call this a stream? I'm not going to be streaming tonight. I probably won't start the Asian sessions until tomorrow, or until next week, or the week after. I need to get this going first. You know what's so funny, Seed Life? It's a lot of people ask me about gold. So there isn't many markets I have not traded. Okay. Heating oil, pork bellies. I day traded pork bellies for the first time in 98, 97. It's my first market I traded. Who trades pork bellies? On almost every currency, not just pairs, but futures as well. Gold, silver. I am really just trying to focus on the NASDAQ right now. I did do some work in the ES because that's where I was trading. I was trading 18 lots in the Russell and 25 lots in the ES. That's what I did. And I traded size. The NASDAQ, you don't need to trade that size. Trading one contract in the ES where I was up, a few $1,000s in the NASDAQ the same day. I was only up like maybe 300-400 in the ES. You need to trade size in that market because of the way that it moves in its rotation. I just like the volatility, not really the volatility. I like the momentum of NASDAQ. There's a difference between momentum and volatility. Volatility moves so fast you can't react. Momentum moves fast enough that price action will go in your favor well, but it's still manageable in speed. Yeah, see you too tomorrow, Kuma. You have a great night. Enjoy. And so gold isn't on my radar to trade right now, but so many people have mentioned that to me recently that I should probably take a look at it. Gold's on the COMEX exchange, right? The metals? I believe so. I used to trade cocoa and coffee too. I forgot about that. Um, what else have I day traded? Cocoa, coffee, almost all the currencies. Any of them that are liquid anyhow. Heating oil, natural gas, the meats. I day traded um not lean hogs, not pork bellies, the beef. I can't even think of what they're called right now. Cattle. I day traded those for a little bit as well. So yeah, there's not much that can't be traded when you understand auction market theory. Yeah, and that's the problem, right? It's that whippiness. Are you using indicators for your trading? Are you using price? What's the foundation of your trading plan? Because if you're using indicators, it's easy to get whipped because the indicators are lagging. Auction, price action comes back into the area of auction, rejects, comes above buyers, and moves higher. I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of to the point where it really doesn't matter what market you put in front of me. If it's liquid enough, it's tradable. We'll test that theory later on once I get myself established here in this. 2 days ago, I was an absolute wreck and mess because I came online and I just felt like I needed to do something and I needed to trade and I forced some things and I did some other things along those lines and it did not work out well for me at all. But it's that lack of confidence in myself. I'm afraid that people are going to hear me and, not understand what I'm saying or, rejected or whatever it might be. And it's just, stories that we tell in ourselves because we don't have anything else. Okay. All right. Well, stick around. I'll teach you auction market theory principles. Try them on. Learn to trade, learn to see your profiles, learn to draw your profiles, and see if you start to see patterns and things that you can establish. Um, because I literally, God, I spent so much money on self-help and trying to learn how to trade. It's not even funny. Indicators, all sorts of stuff, and the key is for me, my program is not aligned to trading. And it doesn't matter what I do. It doesn't matter what I use. If my program is on the court, I'm going to have drawdowns in trading. I'm going to lose money. It's when I become in tuned that everything works. My best periods of time in trading have been through short spurts where I'll have 6, 8 weeks. I'll have a $15,000, $20,000 account and I'll turn it into a $60,000, $70,000 account in a matter of 4 to 6 weeks. It doesn't take long and it doesn't take much. You just have to be attuned and aligned to, I don't even know, plugged into the ether, if you will. I have no other way of saying it. Um, just stick around. I don't have a course. I might put all this stuff I joke, I might put all this stuff in a book. This might be, chapter 14 at some point in time of the book. And when I get that done, I can sell it to 10 people for $120,000 a pop and, make $1.2 million and be set. That's not the point. The point is individuals become intentional in something. They want something. How do we get them there? That's it. We'll get there. We will absolutely get there. We're going to do it together, and it's going to happen. How do I know? I had the pleasure of watching probably one of the best traders in the world about a decade ago. Phenomenal trader, can do things that in order flow that I can't even imagine how he did them in the first place. And I watched him for a week do it over and over again in the ES, and he was a bond trader. And if you know anything about bonds, they're so slow, they'll put you to sleep. And he's doing it at the ES like it was nothing. I mean, he was just he got to the point where he was done in like in a half an hour. He's like, okay, well, there's $1,200. How much money do you want to make in a day? How much money do you want to make? He goes, you have to decide how much money you want to make, because that's going to determine how much time you need to spend trading. So if you want to trade a couple $1,000s, just plan on 2.5 hours a day of trading. If you want 1,000, half hour to an hour. There you go. How much time do you want to spend? Because trading's boring. And it's like, really? And then at first I was like flabbergasted. It's just like, whatever. Yeah, he was an old man. I was like, you don't know what you're talking about. Humbled me in a heartbeat. Humbled me. And I've been spending a decade trying to figure out what he was doing. And he had no indicators. All he had was just a footprint chart. That's it. He had areas like this and was in areas, out of areas, and around areas. And he just went back and forth. I mean, he'd be going long down here. Down here, you'd be going long, and then he'd be going short up here, and be going long up here. He'd be like, "Oh, nope, this is a doji bar. You don't want to do anything here because it's not non-directional. This bar closed up here. Price action barely got above the close and came back down to its open. You need to be short." And he just scalped. And he just scalped every single bar in a 5-minute chart. It was ridiculous. The guy was just phenomenal. He had like trading at like 70-80% accuracy, and just didn't even matter to him. He was like using what was he using? A 2-point stop in the ES. 2 points. 2-point stop in the ES. And he would just trail it like I will. Like I can get like a $1,200, $1,400, $1,600 move sometime because I just trail my stops. That's what he would do. And once it went, four ticks in his direction, he was already break even. So 4 ticks in the ES at one point, I mean, it can do that in a blink of an eye. And so for him to move a stop to a break even that quickly, he knew the momentum in the market. And then every point it went, he just trailed to stop. Until it stopped him out. It's like, okay, a couple ticks there, 4 ticks there, minus 3 ticks there. Insane. Maybe one of these days I'll get that good. For right now, I just want to be able to focus on my long-term charts, see my structure, trade around it. On that note, I'm getting out of here before I get myself in trouble. You guys have a great night. Seed of Life, thank you so much for showing up. I really appreciate you. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your camaraderie, your conversations. Truly do appreciate you. And yeah, we will go through tomorrow morning at 9:40. I'll build this chart just like this, and we'll have our plan for the day. We'll create our structure, and I'll start making videos too that I'll be putting into Discord to how to draw volume profiles, how to read them, how to interpret them on other time frame charts, on where to put key levels at, why we're putting key levels in those areas where we want to trade around, where do we don't want to trade around, the areas of interest that we do want to trade around. And then we're just going to go ahead and trade around. Sounds good. All right. Well, you enjoy. Have yourself a great night, and we will talk to you soon. Have fun, everybody. I appreciate it. Anybody have anything that they want to talk about, just like Seed of Life did, Kuma, anybody have anything, please speak up and chat. Let's have a conversation. I can definitely chat and trade at the same time. In fact, it will probably help me so I'm not so much focused on the short-term time frame. I can get back over to the long term. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy. Have a great night.